Mystic is an Extreme Demon megacollab hosted by Mega Man 9 and verified by Endlevel back in July 2017. Mystic was the second in a series of 3 planned levels by a team of all-American creators named after the 3 Pokemon teams. Preceding what was a relatively well-liked and well-known Insane Demon, Mystic unfortunately is looked on less favourably by the community. The level received a huge amount of panning and criticism when it was released for a number of reasons, from surface level reasons such as poor aesthetics to more deep-rooted concerns over structure and the future of the series. Today we'll be looking at where Mystic came from and why it is so infamous for having failed to live up to expectations, and we'll be looking at the future prospects for both the level and its series moving forward. Mystic was a level released sometime around mid-July 2017. It was the second in a series of megacollabs by American creators and the direct sequel to the relatively popular 2.0 Insane Demon Valor. Valor was an XL level that was verified by CrazyMan50 just before the turn of 2017, which came relatively out of the blue after being in and out of planning for a year. The collab contained only American creators, including its host Mega Man 9, a veteran GD YouTuber with over 50,000 subscribers, as well as a decent sized team of others including Crazy himself. Valor wasn't a massively revered or hyped level, however it was a fun Insane Demon and a challenging level. It was by no means perfect, but it did attract a sizable amount of attention, racing past 100,000 views very quickly. The song choice was a highlight, and as soon as Crazy released the video he announced Mystic would be the next level and it was in the works. After waiting a year on and off for Valor, it made sense that Mystic was due to take a fair amount of time too to be built and released. The first proper look we got as a community was from $C, who previewed the unfinished version on the 1st of May. Right out of the gate the level's style was definitely to an acquired taste. Whereas Valor had been on the bright, predominantly red and colourful side, Mystic took a more subtle dark blue theme. However, there were some issues from the get-go with this soon-to-be level, the first being that the creator list featured non-American creators, which was the point of the original level. This was a spurious choice from the hosts in itself, but there were also more obvious issues to address. As the level was started in 2.0, several of the parts looked quite dated. From the very first glimpse of the level, it was being labelled as ugly, as some were forecasting it to bomb, and for it to not be a well-liked or good level. Fast forward 2 months and Mystic was released. Those who thought Crazy Man would be verifying the sequel received a surprise when Endlevel, a player who was gradually building more and more of a high profile for himself, released the level himself. It seemed in the 2 months since $C's preview, several parts had been hastily redesigned and finished. The issue of creator nationality was brought up to light once again. More so than Valor, this level came pretty out of the blue, and its difficulty was a surprising step up from its Insane Demon predecessor. It took a while for Mystic to be rated, but when it finally was, it was placed at 6th on the Demons list, above Devil Vortex at the time and 1 below Valkyrie Vortex and Artificial Descent. As it grew more and more popular, players began to complete it. It began to receive more and more criticism for a number of reasons, and with some going as far to label it as the worst Extreme Demon in the game. Though this may have been a gross exaggeration, it seemed that there were many faults to find within this mega collab. Mystic was a very different level from Valor in a number of ways, and though no one was overly bothered about Valor in the first place when it was released, it quickly became the staple example in criticising the sequel. The first issue and the main issue was the nationality that we discussed. The American creators comprised the development team of Valor, and a satirical patriotism made up part of the theme too. Mystic didn't seem to carry this over, and there was no jokey element to it, and a few of the creators were not even American. Many argued this defeated the point of the sequel, though in hindsight this was probably most likely a change brought about because of the lack of good American creators who are active in the GD community nowadays. Another problem was again the decoration, and this was explored in way more detail after its release. As Mystic was started in 2016, everything before about 40% apart from Endlevel's part looked incredibly dated. Endlevel said at that point the collab was close to a year old, and so they just wanted it to be finished given how fast it was aging, which meant sacrificing the prospect of remaking parts for the better. Other parts were criticised for a number of reasons: poor sync, bland design and disjointed gameplay. Even Crazy's part, which is usually one of the most memorable parts and unique parts in a respected level, received some stick from the community. Some of the better looking parts in the level were viewed as ruined by the disjointed gameplay that didn't flow very well, Jonathan GD's part being a particularly highlighted example for this criticism. Another thing was the difficulty. It is often viewed as a kind of turn to the dark side when a sequel or a level within a level series makes a significant step up in difficulty, but with Valor it didn't seem like difficulty would be paramount. With Mystic, however, it received the same difficulty criticism as Subsonic, in that it was a sequel level in which creators just went on how hard they could make the level. Mystic was extremely hard, harder than anyone was expecting at 6th on the list. Even Endlevel himself, who had been practicing for so long, didn't even realise how extreme it was this way. The gameplay was then bashed again by a section of the community with far more clout when the top players got their hands on it. Sonic, Scullo and Wushi were all among players who advised people not to play it as it was too annoying. Soon after, Mystic appeared as number 1 in Stop Start's countdown of the most disappointing sequels to levels in Geometry Dash, but in the video he did make a good point. The level wasn't inherently bad, it just seemed to fail to live up to expectations in the eyes of the community as a result of its long-term building period. Valor was good, but it didn't by any means set the bar at an unreachable height, so it was all the more disappointing for the community to have seen Mystic lagging in these respects. Upon the release of the level, Mega Man said he was happy with how it turned out. I doubt he was prepared for the community's response. With that said, however, Mystic is a shining example of how high we set our standards in the community for mega collabs. Mystic is by no means a bad level, and was tarnished by 1 or 2 parts, and the whole level was written off as terrible. Obviously we have covered and know the criticism the level received, but I think there were some deeper aspects to Mystic's reputation that aren't immediately visible, and that is Crazy's involvement. One thing I think subliminally slips under the radar is that Valor received the Crazy Man effect. As we all know, Crazy's levels are famous for being unique, well crafted and memorable. Even when the verification project was not built by him, everything he verifies and plays from his creator side ends up being held in a higher regard than usual levels. Valor wasn't groundbreaking obviously, and yet at over 300,000 views you'd think there was something extremely special about it. Crazy's career attracts attention to these kinds of projects out of principle, and I think as a result people were associating Mystic with Crazy too, and when it was delivered by Endlevel I believe a lot of people were surprised. I know I was. I had no idea Endlevel was verifying, and I'd heard of the level, so it was a big surprise to see it when it appeared on his channel in mid-year last year. Obviously Endlevel is quite a controversial player too, whether it's for his opinions or for his extreme demon projects, and all of his levels seems to get a bit of stick as he ends up as a scapegoat. Difficulty is another factor, as I've already mentioned. Perhaps some of this could have been resolved by the Plasma Pulse strategy I mentioned in my Anathema video. The Plasma Pulse series got progressively harder, from a hard demon to an insane one to an extreme one to number 1 on the list. Maybe Mystic was too hard and too soon for the series. With Valor being an insane demon outside of the top 50, maybe they should have just aimed for a slightly lower difficulty, then set Instinct to be a top 10 demon. All these things are just my opinion and obviously can't be changed now, but it's still interesting and worth thinking about. Keen to leave the past behind and restore fan support for the series, Endlevel has revealed 2 new prospects for the series. The first was an update to Mystic. Upon his return in December last year, Endlevel previewed an update to Mystic with redesigned decoration. The first redesigned part was SQRL's part, which had taken the brunt of the criticism. However, this is a 50-50 on whether it will be completed on account of all of Endlevel's other projects. The other prospect is a fresh start with the 3rd and final chapter, Instinct. Like with Mystic, Instinct was in planning as soon as its predecessor was released, and this time Endlevel is hosting the collab. Instinct is a yellow themed mega collab which will most likely be at the very top of the list once verified, potentially even number 1, and it is looking very promising already. The song choice is great once again, and Endlevel is ensuring to appease Mystic's decoration critics by making sure that list level will be well decorated and fit for purpose. Like with Mystic, the team is not America exclusive just for the fact that there are not enough active good American creators to assemble such a tall order anymore, but there is a huge well-staffed team of great creators in the Instinct team, and I'm guessing after all the annoying backlash they faced after their last work, those who are double featuring will have learned from their mistakes, and we can most likely look forward to Instinct being a great, challenging and complete extreme demon. It has itself already found itself in controversy when a striking situation emerged surrounding it. In early February, 2 Instinct videos were striked by a channel named CS Pixel, who created an unofficial sequel and managed to convince YouTube to strike Alan and Endlevel's parts on the grounds of intellectual property theft. However, this was soon rectified after a very dicey, tense situation and an email by CS to YouTube confessing what he'd done, but it just adds to the bad luck that this series has faced over the last 9 months. Instinct will hopefully save the series and leave us with good memories, but we'll need to see how long we wait for it. If 2.2 were to be released while it's in development, then the same issue would arise that arose with Mystic. However, I'm sure the creators will be able to adapt and overcome this problem, and they'll go ahead and crown this memorable and unique trilogy with its final chapter, and we will look back on all 3 levels with positive memories. But anyway, that's all from me today, and I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please smash that like button, and if you're new around here, if you could consider subscribing and checking out some of my other videos, then I'd really appreciate it. Thanks a lot guys, I'll see you all soon.